Hello and welcome to another episode of the Whizzbang Podcast. Our guest today, singer-songwriter, banjo player. He may or may not play the fiddle, the upright bass, acoustic guitar, Darrin Hacquard. Welcome to the show. How are you?
I'm great. How are you today?
I'm doing fantastic. We're getting to know each other. We're strangers, getting to know each other on mic, on camera. I think this is the modern way to make friends.
I suppose so.
Tell me, where are you at with your music right now? When was the last time you wrote a song? And this is not me. I'm just genuinely asking.
Let me think. I've been in the COVID times. I haven't been writing. I have a slew of more serious, depressing songs. So I've sort of abandoned that. And any songs I've written have been more bawdy and comical.
Okay.
So they might not fit into my normal repertoire, but nonetheless, I've written a few.
I'm going to come back to that comical word you mentioned, but tell me about what would you consider your body of work thus far in your career?
Heavy hitting. No, I'm just. I would say, yeah, I have an album called Signs and Wonders.
Yes, of
that
course.
I released in 2015, which I'm very proud of. I have more material ready to go. So, I guess autobiographical would be one way to describe.
The best kind of songwriting is autobiographical, I would say.
Yeah.
I agree with that. Tell me about this comical, because I tend to like comical music. I'm a Randy Newman guy.
I love Randy. Yeah, love Randy.
I love irony. Tell me about just delving into that a little bit, because it sounds like you're like tenuous about it, but we can talk and we're going to release that, whether you like it or not.
Well, I'm a big Randy Newman fan. John Prine, of course, rest in peace.
Sure.
He always found a way to take serious topics and maybe add a funny turn of phrase in there, or deal with a heavy subject in a light way.
Yeah, it's that twist.
Yeah, and that's definitely something I've strove for.
Yeah. I know John Prine's music through the musicians I've hung out with, but if you could recommend me your favorite John Prine album, I'm going to check it out immediately after this interview.
Well, my all-time favorite is Diamonds in the Rough.
Diamonds in the Rough.
His second record. But Bruised Orange would probably be next up. Maybe.
I gotcha. Would you consider him just like a primary songwriter influence? Like, I have these things where it's like I hear certain artists and they just give you that itch to want to go write. If you put something on, who gives you that itch to like, oh, I'm ready to go right now?
Right now, Dan Reeder, because
I don't know him.
His songs are so funny and repetitive and simple that I could think, oh, well, that's a good line. And if you just repeated it over and over again and added a few more lines, then you'd have a song. Sometimes you start to overthink a song and think, well,
tell me about
this isn't worth the trouble. So
right,
or it's too trite to develop.
Right. Trite is a thing. I feel like trite is just like a little bit of an inflection away from not being a trite line. You can have a trite line, and if you sing it a little bit differently, or maybe if you put like a different attitude underneath it, you can sing something trite and it's brand new again. Would you agree with that?
I would agree. I guess if you want to, you could also be trite in an ironic way, I guess.
That's what I mean. Maybe that's what I mean.
Yeah, I don't know. I wouldn't say that I'm trite, but I'm a bit of a dullard, in some ways. So.
Where'd you record your first album?
I used to play with the Fox Hunt band that John Miller was in, and
that's right.
I met John actually in Donegal, Ireland.
Really?
I had been over there with the Berea College Bluegrass Band, which is where I learned to be in a band, and my mentor Al White taught me to play all those instruments that you mentioned while I was attending school there. And we took a trip to Ireland in the summer, and the band went home, and I stuck around in Ireland, and I saw that the Fox Hunt was going to be playing. So I took a bus to see them, and I sort of knew them from old-time music festivals, and they just said, what are you doing here? And I said, I just came to see the show. So I met John and all the fellas, Ben Townsend, Matt Metz, Matt Klein, and Matt Klein was leaving the band, and they invited me to join that band. So I'm sorry I got on that tangent, but what was your question?
Well, as your first album, but forget about
where was it recorded? Okay, so that's the backstory to. I moved over to Martinsburg, West Virginia, in the Eastern Panhandle when they invited me to join that band, and we were based out of Martinsburg, Shepherdstown area.
Okay.
And we recorded it in this house that was really nice when we lived there in those years, and then it sat abandoned for a while, and I said, I loved that house so much in those times, I want to do my first record at that house. So the electricity barely worked, and we had to chase out all the wolf spiders and...
Right.
But
so you made a record in an abandoned house, essentially.
Essentially, yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So you were in Ireland, and were you asked to join the band while in Ireland, hanging out?
Yes.
That is an extraordinary coincidence that basically leads you right back to essentially where you're from. Are you from? Where are you from exactly?
I'm from Hocking County, Rockbridge in southeast Ohio.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's interesting to make friends and then join a band so far away, and it just end up basically where you're from. I think that's an interesting lineage to a project. That's very cool.
Yeah, well, I like to do things in a roundabout way, so.
Did John R. Miller and his band play on your first record?
Basically, when the Fox Hunt sort of disbanded, people wanted to go in different directions, and at that time we were talking about taking our old time and bluegrass country style and making it a little more rock and roll psychedelic, Fairport Convention-esque, and that was our concept, and it never got to happen. So I had all these songs written, and I said, I want to make that record, but I guess it'll be my record. So,
right.
They were eager to do it, and I'm glad that they did because, we followed up on that dream, if you would.
Right. The album exists. You know how hard it is? People don't understand how hard it is to make an album just exist at all, let alone just writing a song. That's one part of it. But taking and getting a group of people together, all having that same conceptual thing, and be willing to spend, a month in an abandoned house or 3 weeks in an abandoned house.
Oh, yeah.
It takes a lot of, internal commitment to go from a bunch of songs you can play on a banjo or a guitar or a piano or whatever, and actually sticking with it while you deal with cables being broken, power outages, wolf spiders, what have you, and making it all come together. I'm happy for you with that.
And I'm
proud
of
you.
I had help. That Kickstarter really came through for me. And
did you do a Kickstarter?
I did, yeah.
Ona did a Kickstarter to kind of help through some lean times COVID-wise, but that's an interesting concept too. Of what was it released on a label? The record?
Questionable Records, and that is my friend Ben Townsend's record label, and
Very cool.
You can find that on Bandcamp. He's done all kinds of interesting things.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so sort of a crowdsourced vibe.
Yeah,
it worked out.
Yeah, but I wouldn't have known as I set out to make that how difficult it is to.
Nobody ever thinks about how difficult it's actually going to be.
There's a lot to it. Yeah.
So with the next project, how far underway are you on a new album?
Well,
it's always a broad question, I know.
The first thing I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go back and I put Signs and Wonders out on CD.
Okay.
And I'm out of the CDs.
Okay.
And I don't think anyone has CD players anymore.
Some people do. I guess do they still put them in cars?
Well, unfortunately, I don't think that they do. But I listen to CDs. But I'm gonna put it on a double LP because it's about 70 minutes long. So
yeah, I'm
gonna release that. Sometime in the near future.
Okay.
And that's another thing of working on all that too. So
yeah, so you're it's like you're writing, but also you're writing and producing new music, but also there's always this business keeping of having to think about the proper way to adapt to, where are people listening to music next? As much as I have some gripes about Spotify, I'm really scared though about there being a new medium to listen to music on in the next 4 years. And it's like, we have to now film VR concerts and be in 3D. I mean, is it going to get to that point?
Well,
maybe not with bluegrass genre.
I remember
you have to probably be in dance for that to be a problem.
Neil Young tried to make his own way to listen to music, and he said, this is the only way.
He did. What was the concept with that?
I can't exactly remember. I think it was a new form of a WAV file or an MP3, and Neil said, no, this is the one, and you have to get my little device to listen to it.
He did, and he put all of his music, he not databased it, but archived everything. It wasn't on Spotify for the longest time.
Yeah.
And he made it so you had to go and listen to his personal way he thought you wanted to listen to music. He thought it was presented best in his way.
Right. But I guess another concept could be we'll have to download something into our microchip that can give us Jimmy Buffett's greatest hits and all those things we want to hear.
Yeah, just download Jimmy Buffett's whole catalog right into the old arm there. I can't wait to listen to that while I'm in South Florida. I have one more question for you. Where was it? I know I have another question. Touring. How much tour? Well, you went to Ireland, but that wasn't a tour. That was an educational tour.
It was an educational tour, but it was a tour nonetheless.
How much touring have you done? How do you feel about it? Because everybody kind of has their own attitude about how they reckon with it, but how do you feel about touring?
I really love it. Anytime I get the opportunity to do it, and we did it quite a bit when I was with the Fox Hunt.
Mm-hmm.
Since then, I've never had a manager or anyone, so until now. But
new to the WhizzbangBAM umbrella, Darrin Hacquard.
And thank you, gentlemen, for taking me on board. Honored to be here. So I love it. I love being out. I love meeting new people. I love performing.
Same.
I love seeing new places, eating at new restaurants, seeing the sights, going to museums. But it can be grueling, when you're sleeping on in the van or on someone's floor. But I think that there's ways to make it more comfortable.
You kind of have to just have a little bit of a romance to it. And it's also just a choice. You're just either about it or you're not, It's like, this is what I'm going to do. I don't care how rough it gets. I'm going to go do this thing,
I'm about it. I feel like I'm pretty much always on tour, even if I'm not playing music, because I bounce around and work a lot of odd jobs for people.
Really?
And, I like to just sort of be on the move. So.
Okay. You got one of those vans you can sort of live out of? Is it one of those situations?
Well, I have a Hyundai Sonata 2009.
A Hyundai Sonata.
And it's been a great car. So
getting around the country in the Hyundai Sonata, I love it.
Well, the tri-state area at least.
Hey, man, good luck driving around in that Hyundai. Hyundais are extremely reliable. I'm sure you could go East Coast to West Coast as many times as you wanted before that thing breaks down.
Well, the only thing about them is the motor's on the windows, so this is going to be a spicy summer in the whip, but maybe I can figure it out.
Okay. Darrin Hacquard, everybody, new to the Whizzbang team. A lovely interview, and I would say a new friend. Thanks for stopping by. Nice to meet you, man.
Likewise.